Cold War. Okay, picture this. Two men are standing in a room. Both have a gun. Both are pointing it at the other guy's face. Neither shoots. They just stand there for 45 years. That's the Cold War. That's it. Okay, fine. There's a little more to it. Sit down. World War II just ended. 60 million dead. Half of Europe looked like a parking lot. And when the smoke cleared, everyone asked, who's in charge now? The answer was two countries. Two countries that, despite being allies 5 minutes ago, had absolutely nothing in common. On one side, the United States. Democracy, capitalism, apple pie, and the belief that everyone secretly wants to be American. On the other side, the Soviet Union. Communism, central planning, really big hats, and the belief that capitalism would collapse any day now. Any day. Just wait. These two were about to spend 45 years glaring at each other, while the rest of the world nervously asked if anyone wanted more bread. So the war ends. Everyone decides who gets what. Germany, split in half. Korea, split in half. Berlin, split in half. Except Berlin sits inside the Soviet half of Germany. So West Berlin is basically a little island of capitalism floating in a sea of communism. Stalin looked at this and thought, I am totally fine with this. Absolutely no plans to be weird about it later. He was going to be very weird about it later. The Soviets set up puppet governments across Eastern Europe, Poland, Romania, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, communist theme parks where Stalin was the mascot, and the rides were mandatory. Churchill declared an Iron Curtain had fallen across Europe. The wartime friendship was officially over. President Truman made a decision. America would stop communism everywhere, whenever. Full stop. This became the Truman Doctrine. Basically, if communism shows up anywhere, America shows up too, and it's going to be very awkward for communism. To back this up, America sent $12 billion to Western Europe under the Marshall Plan. The logic: poor, starving people turn to communism. Well-fed people do not. Give Europe money. Problem solved. It worked. Western Europe recovered fast. Eastern Europe got Stalin telling them what to produce and that questions were deeply unpatriotic. The gap between East and West was opening. It would keep getting wider. Stalin blockaded West Berlin in 1948. Every road, every railway, every canal. His plan: starve it into submission. America's response was simple and spectacular. Fine, we'll fly everything in. For over a year, planes landed in West Berlin every single day carrying food, coal, medicine, everything. At its peak, a plane landed every 30 seconds. Stalin had two choices: shoot down the planes and start World War III, or give up. He gave up, and he looked pretty silly doing it. Then things got genuinely scary. In 1949, the Soviets tested their first atomic bomb. America, the world's only nuclear power until that morning, suddenly felt very uncomfortable. Both sides could now destroy civilization. Strategists called this mutually assured destruction. The acronym is, appropriately, MAD. Neither side would start a nuclear war, but neither was backing down, so instead they did everything except fight directly. Funding rebels, spreading propaganda, spying constantly, competing in the Olympics with deeply unusual intensity. Welcome to the Cold War. Population: everyone. Duration: longer than anyone wanted. In 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea. The UN sent troops under General Douglas MacArthur, brilliant, successful, and with an ego roughly the size of the Korean peninsula. MacArthur pushed the North Koreans back, then kept going toward the Chinese border. His superiors asked if China might intervene. MacArthur said, absolutely not. Not going to happen. 300,000 Chinese soldiers then crossed into Korea. MacArthur was fired. He gave a speech about how old soldiers never die, they just fade away. He then proceeded to not fade away for another 14 years. The war ended in a stalemate right where it started. Technically, it never officially ended. Both sides keep it going through mutual exhaustion and spite. Stalin died in 1953. His doctors, who he had previously imprisoned, were apparently not in a rush to help. History is funny sometimes. His replacement, Nikita Khrushchev. Shorter, rounder, louder. A Personality best described as enthusiastically unpredictable. Then he took off his shoe and banged it on a table at the United Nations. The reasonable phase was over. Meanwhile, East Germans kept crossing into West Berlin, prosperous, colorful, free, and simply not going back. 3 million people fled between 1949 and 1961. Doctors, engineers, teachers, the exact people East Germany needed most. This was, to put it diplomatically, a problem. On the night of August 12, 1961, East German workers began stringing barbed wire across Berlin. By morning, the city was divided. Families woke up on the wrong side. Couples separated overnight. People who went to bed in one world woke up in another. The wire became concrete. Guard towers went up. A death strip was cleared with shoot-to-kill orders. The Berlin Wall became the defining image of the Cold War. Not because it was the most dangerous thing happening, but because it was the most honest. Every piece of Cold War propaganda was carefully constructed spin. The wall said the quiet part loud. If communism was so great, why did you need a wall to keep people in? In October 1962, everything nearly ended. American spy planes spotted Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, 90 miles from Florida, pointed at the United States. For 13 days, the world held its breath. Kennedy blockaded Cuba. Soviet ships headed straight for the line. If they crossed, shots would be fired, and if shots were fired, the response would come. And the response to that response, until nothing was left. At the last possible moment, Khrushchev turned the ships around. Afterward, both leaders installed a direct hotline between Washington and Moscow, the Red Phone. So next time they could talk before things got out of hand. There were many next times. The phone helped. Meanwhile, both sides argued about who was better by going to space. The Soviets launched Sputnik in 1957, the first satellite ever. America panicked. Congress threw money at NASA. Schools rewrote their curriculums. The entire American education system changed because of a metal ball the size of a beach ball beeping in orbit. Then Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space in 1961, the most famous person alive overnight. America committed to landing on the moon by decade's end. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface. America won, definitively, spectacularly, and everything that followed, satellites, GPS, global communications, the internet, all of it traces back to two countries trying to one-up each other in low Earth orbit. Spite is a powerful motivator. The Cold War ended not with a bang, but with a cue of East Germans at the Berlin Wall on November 9th, 1989. After a confused spokesman accidentally announced the border was open immediately, he meant to say travel applications could be filed the next day. Someone asked, "When does this take effect?" He shuffled his papers and said, "Immediately, without delay." He was completely winging it. Within hours, tens of thousands were at the wall. Guards received no orders. They stood aside. People climbed the wall, hugged strangers, took hammers to 28 years of concrete. Germany reunified. The Soviet Union dissolved in 1991. Quietly, almost anticlimactically, after decades of standoffs, proxy wars, and enough tension to power a small planet. The two men lowered their guns. Neither had fired. The world was still somehow standing, and they went home. The Cold War, a conflict where the two most powerful nations in history scared each other so thoroughly, they accidentally kept the peace. Kind of, more or less. It's complicated.